You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday. And we got an audio emergency. I don't know. Sounds about right. If you can't hear me, type it into the chat box and say, I can't hear you. Then I'll know you're pulling my leg, because otherwise, how would you know you couldn't hear me? Okay, never mind. Moving on. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining. Today is Thursday, 25th day of April, 2019. So glad you could join. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, a special welcome to you. We're glad to have you with us. Have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. If you cannot see the chart, it's a 1-hour chart today. If you can't see the chart, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and you'll have one-click access to the show each and every day. Now, if you find yourself out of the office, away from the desktop, want to tune in using your phone or your tablet, go to youtube.com/CFRN/live. There you will find each and every day during the live broadcast a real-time simulcast brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. Okay, S&P 500, Emini Futures. We're going to step aside here in just a second and let Michael come in and take care of his business, a recap of what happened in the live training room today. But real quick, let me just say this is sort of a pivotal point in this chart. Exciting race down. This morning we went from zone to zone, back up to the zone. These are this week's weekly trading zones. Partners and passport holders got them Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. And I guess it's been that way since December 14th of 2009. Yeah, coming up on a decade of weekly zones, and, well, they work the same way they worked back in 2009. Price goes from zone to zone to zone, and sometimes we overshoot the zone, right? We got one more zone overhead, and that's 60.61. 60.61. It's the highest weekly trading zone for this week. Okay. So here we sit consolidating above 29.30 again. This is all relevant and important right here at this juncture for a couple reasons. Let me show you this reason, and then we'll go to Michael. Okay, this is the S&P 500 cash index. Can't buy or sell this one. That's why the derivatives futures were created, so you could trade this thing. All right, this is an index of, 500 companies. Right, okay. Now, we had a gap lower open this morning. Right here. Because futures trade around the clock, we don't see a lot of gaps, except usually on Sunday night. We might get a gap, and by and large, they're not very large. But we do take advantage of them in the Logic 247 whenever we have the opportunity. But as you can see in the cash market, because it closes at 4 p.m. Eastern and doesn't crank back up till 9:30 the following morning, there's gaps most every day. And unlike futures, where gaps almost always fill, like the NQ gap fill alert that went out last night, with the cash index, it's more like stocks in that stocks gap up and down all the time. They fill, they don't fill. Not even important. Let's move on. We had a gap lower open. Beautiful rally here. These are 30-minute candles. So an hour and a half rally to close the gap. Now see the close of this candle was 2933.1. And the high of this candle, 2931.6. Close 2933. Swing high. Come on. Swing high 29. Okay. Swing high 2933.1. Close 2933.1. Not 0.2, not 0.3, not 0.0, 0.1. High 2933.1. Okay, you got it. You figured it out. All right. So we had a bearish cross. Price pulled back, as it does. It appeared to be on a mission to close this gap, which it did. And we just said in the Telegram channel right before coming on the broadcast that this could be a potential turning point in this up rally. Let me throw one more thing on top of that, and then we go to Michael. There we go. Bearish cross, price pulled away, price pulled back to physically touch, as it does, and from here, now this was a nice swing from 17 up to 29, just zone to zone, 12 points, 12 down, 12 back up. That's a 24-point round trip, zone to zone to zone. So the market has some pep in its step. The fact that it spiked above the zone, spiked above the BBC, is consolidating here, well, that's just peachy. It's very peachy. So we can do that. We'll watch this throughout the show, see what happens. And this is an hourly chart. Let me just show you real quick why. There's hourly, 30-minute. It's the same thing. Right, okay. But you see this bottoming candlestick here, pattern, this pattern. Now go back to, now we've pulled back to the BBC, the hourly, and on the 30-minute. Got it? Okay, I'm going to go back to the hourly. So what do you think the next high probability thing is? We'll talk about that when I come back. Michael, take it away. Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can, but your volume's pretty low. I don't know if it's just me. How about folks in the audience? Can you hear Michael A-OK?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? I don't know. I'm having the microphone right up against my mouth right now.
Okay, and that does sound better. To me, I'm just wondering, my thing got bumped this morning, and a couple of little dials went spinning in crazy directions, so I asked earlier if anybody could hear me. They didn't say anything, so I assumed they couldn't. Perfect hearing.
Okay. Now, and I have had issues with my headset since the very end of the morning session. It seems I had. Let me do this. It says use automatic volume and noise processing. Let me uncheck that. Uncheck that. Is that any better? Any different at all?
It was a little jittery there for a second. But you sound okay now. As long as you stay up close to the mic, you'll be fine.
Okay. Well.
How about me, Amon?
Okay.
Do I sound okay? Taller?
Yeah, you sound great, Dwayne.
Kind of sound like that movie guy.
You sound
no,
just
I'm just
fine.
kidding. That guy's so funny. And there's all these people. Well,
Yeah.
never mind. I'll.
So much taller.
Oh, and we have a voiceover guy in our midst.
We do.
We do.
We do.
I'm supposed to meet with him today, I think. I'm interested to hear. I'll have to go to his website. Hey, Valerie, will you give me his website so I can go there and
Yeah, we'll do.
I can ask him interesting questions about himself rather than just talk about me. I'll ask him questions about his life. That's a novel idea.
Okay. Novel.
How to win friends and influence people. Okay, you ready?
I am almost ready. I had trouble when I rebooted. It took a half an hour, and I'm still bringing up one thing, but the spreadsheet is the last thing I'm doing right now. Just bringing that up. But everything else is okay. Everything else is working and ringing good. So, have I taken the charts yet?
I don't know.
No.
No.
Not yet.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Let me take the charts.
Thank you, Joan. Joan says we sound good here and on YouTube. What?
Okay.
What more could you ask for?
Great. All right, and there is this spreadsheet. That can open up in the background. It's not there yet, but
You took the charts, we just don't see your charts. There, now we go. Got it. Locked and loaded.
Okay.
And we see your spreadsheet deal.
Dealy. Okay. Here we go.
Dealy Bob. Okay. All right. I'll leave it to you.
Okay. Here we go. Well, it hasn't updated yet. I don't know why. You should be looking at the home page. There it is. Okay. I have a feeling that everything is going to be delayed here today when I'm doing this, because right now I'm running my cursor across the screen and you can't really see anything. So I'm going to talk about everything that we did, but it's going to be a delay by the time you see it, I suspect. And I don't know what changed between yesterday and today, and I just rebooted the computer and everything else. So I have, well, I don't know. I'm just going to go through it. Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 25th day of April, 2019. Okay. If you've not taken a free trial with us, go to the home right over here in the right-hand column. It says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. If you click on that, you'll be sent to confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay. If you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay. So you gotta make, that is aggravating. You gotta make sure you click that confirmation link. All right. Yeah. So you fill out that. It'll bring you to this page. All we ask for is your email, first name, how you found us, hit submit, and then you'll be sent that confirmation link. You got to click the confirmation link or we don't know you took the trial. This is the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet goes back to January 2nd of 2013. And hold on a minute. It's got to update here. For some reason, everything on this computer is dragging today. And okay, well, I'll let that update and I'll just go through this. On gold today, we had 2 break-even trades. Okay. Let me see what you're looking at now. Okay, on gold, we had 2 break-even trades today. And one was, hang on, I'm scrolling back, trying to get to it. And everything is delayed that you guys are seeing, so I'm sorry. But my words and pictures are not in this place right now. Okay. And we had 2 break-even trades on gold. One was at 9:45, and it was a long. I mean, I'm just gonna explain to you. Okay, I think you can see it now. It was at 9:45, and it was a long. And we exited at about 9:48 break-even. The next one was at 11:08, and we exited at about 11:13. Again, a break-even trade. Okay, and that was it for gold. During the break, there was one shorting opportunity right here at would have been a momentum short at 10. Okay, and that went about 5-6 ticks into profit, but we ended up with a break even today. Okay. All right. The euro. Today we ended the session with the trade on the euro right here, a 10-tick trade. That is what got us. That's what got us to the goal for the day. Okay, and we also had, what else did we have? That was our only trade on the euro. Okay, so other than that, after that, actually, there was another one right here, a momentum short trade. And that was it today for the euro. Crude oil. Here, let me. I'm waiting until it actually shows what I'm doing. Okay. All right. I'm gonna have to figure this out after.
We were preparing for the JP Morgan pitch a couple of weeks ago. Good JP Morgan pitch last week.
Of all the ills it can cause. Well, at JP Morgan, we say
Yes.
bull. At JP Morgan, we love money.
On crude today, let's back this out. We had
More trustworthy.
we stopped out. It was right here. We had one crude trade. That's a really slow day. We only have one trade on crude, and we stopped out on it. Okay, and then we spent the rest of the day making up for it on the ES. And populating. Again, look at how choppy this is right here. On the ES, we had, what did we have? 3 trades, 2 break-evens. No, 1 break-even, 1 plus 2, and 1 plus 4. Okay, so I'm trying to get it all on one screen for you because kind of have to. And all right, so it started out here. We got plus 2 on the first one. Then we missed a long right there. A momentum long would have been a break even anyway. We had a break even right here. This was really choppy, and it ended up being a break even. Then we picked up 4 ticks over here on a long. And then we said watch for it to get back up to the weekly trading zone, which it did, and it chopped around since then. It's been all choppy since then. Okay. All right. So let me bring the spreadsheet up and see if it's populated yet. There it is. Get here. January, February, March, April. Okay, so today, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 25th day of April, 2019. Made 18 ticks in the euro. Lost 8 in crude. And we made 6 ticks on the ES to put us at 107.50 on the morning session. Okay. Today it took 127 minutes. So I went over a little bit to get that last trade in there. This morning I had issues getting people into the room, but it took 8 trades, $107.50, and today's the 18th day of the month. We are currently at $1,582.50, and on the year, it's the 72nd day of the year, and we're at $8,035. That's over 72 days, averaging 111 per day, 111.60 per day. Again, if you've not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net, and in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial applied at CFRN.net. Click on that, and you will be brought to this page. Let me see what your view is right now. No, you're still, okay, that's the homepage. You will be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your first name, and how you found us. Hit the submit button, and you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay, if you don't click the confirmation link, we don't know that you took the free trial. Okay? Okay. That's it. With that, we can pass it back out to where things are working normally in fabulous Phoenix, Arizona.
Where? Where are things working? Hello? I heard. Michael. He just fell off the bandwidth. Okay. All right. Well, if you come back, I'll ask you for a recap of the recap, and then you can go to the beach. Okay. There's that. And now, there's that. Outstanding. Okie doke. S&P 500 Emini Futures. Again, this is the hourly chart. And Michael, are you there? Amon, you hear me okay? Because I was playing with my audio controls trying to hear Michael. I think he needs a new headset, perhaps. Okay, great. Thanks, sir. Appreciate that very, very much. Hey, it's that time. Stand by for the S&P 500 E-mini Daily Report. Alexa.
Okay, how about now?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, I just unplugged my
Sorry,
headset. I'm just
I'm not sure about that.
Alexa, launch E-mini Daily Report.
Welcome back to the S&P 500 E-mini Daily Report. And now, from Studio A, this is Mr. D.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday afternoon, 24th day of April, 2019. Time 5:45 p.m. Eastern. We are just 15 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Last night's alert did not trigger. We were looking to be long 29.42 up to 29.48 up to, for the extended move, 29.59. That is our highest weekly trading zone. While it did not trigger last night, it is still valid. However, developments in today's market might tell a story of a market looking for a retracement. Now, a 50% Fibonacci, or 62% Fibonacci retracement from Friday's low to today's or yesterday's high would put us back around 29.06, 29.07, but you don't need to worry about that. I'll worry about that. Let me just give you the numbers, okay? If price trades below 29.25 and holds a pullback, consider being short the ES M9, that's the June S&P 500 E-mini contract. Consider being short 29.24 to 29.17 to 29.10. Again, on the long side, if price can reach 29.42, consider being long to 29.48. With the absence of any exit signals, stay with it to 29.59. If we fail to hold up on the Asian session and the European Open, I was very surprised last night to see the Asian session or the London session unable to pick the ball up and continue running in the same direction as Wall Street. Wall Street very quiet, 10-point range most of the day on the S&P 500 E-mini. One last time, consider long 29.42 to 29.48, extended move 29.59. If we break to the downside, and you'll know because we'll break below 29.25, we'll hold that on a pullback. Consider being short 29.24 to 29.20, down to 29.17 to 29.10. We always stay with it unless the chart tells us to do something different. If you want to learn more about what we do and how we do it, we have an open house coming up. Just go to apply.cfrn.net or send an email to support@cfrn.net. See you at the bell.
Thanks for tuning in to the S&P E-mini Daily Report. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the numbers that make you the smartest guy on the street. Any street. Looking for specific turn-by-turn directions? Take a free trial at apply.cfrn.net or call 949-42-EMINI. That's 949-42-EMINI. This has been the S&P E-mini Daily Report. Signing off.
Thanks, Alexa. Okay, if you want the S&P E-mini Daily Report, which would have taken you from 29.24 down to 29.17, that was the first leg of the journey, 24 to 20 to 17. Now, as we come back down, important prices, important areas, almost always tested. So we came down through the 24, and then we rallied back up to the 24. Now we've spiked this zone, this time down. If in fact the market does trade lower into the close today, this is when we may see that final leg of the journey, 29.10. That'll be a 14-point move. This was a 13-point move up. This will be a potential 14-point move down if we see 29.10 as the target. Okay, if you have an Alexa device, grab your smartphone, open the Alexa app. If you have an Alexa device, you have an Alexa app on your phone because that's just how you set them up. Open it, go to Things to Do, go to Skills, search the word E-mini, will pop up, S&P E-mini Daily Report. Enable the skill, and then all you got to do is say her name, launch E-mini Daily Report, and it comes right up. All right? Fair enough. Michael, you still there? Get your headset issues fixed. All right, John will be along shortly. Today is Dr. Tom Day. He will be joining us at the top of the hour in about 25 minutes. We'll talk about gold today. When John shows, we'll talk about whatever he wants to talk about. And right now, I got a little bit of news that I'll share with you. Let me ask you a question. I know that most of you are men and women of a certain age. We got a few kids in the audience, but most of us are folks of a certain age. What did you pay for a pair of tennis shoes when you were a kid? Right. Now, they pay a lot today, you know that. In the 80s, during the crack rampage, they were killing people for their tennis shoes, Air Jordans. Well, and then came crypto kicks. For those of you that aren't one of the young and cool, kicks is a term for tennis shoes. Not just saying. Nike, you may have heard of them, has filed a trademark application. Yeah, Mike, hang on just a second. Nike has filed a trademark application for the phrase crypto kicks. The footwear giant's application describes offering crypto wallets and downloadable mobile applications for providing access to crypto collectibles, crypto art, and application tokens, as well as operating an online marketplace featuring footwear and clothing. Its document also sets out plans for providing a digital currency or digital token for use by members of an online community and enabling transactions to be completed using unconventional currency systems. Elsewhere in the document, Nike sets out how it wants to reserve the CryptoKicks name for providing online blogs in the field of crypto collectibles and offering online computer games such as scavenger hunts, treasure hunts, and obstacle courses. This all from Josh Gurman, a trademark attorney who analyzed the filing on Twitter. His remarks, this appears to be a filing for a brand of cryptocurrency. This is trademark speak, for this is a cryptocurrency called Crypto Kicks. Can you imagine your tennis shoes being your digital wallet? The whole ATM structure will have to change. It looked more like a place you get your shoe shined because you got to get your foot up there. Because you're not going to take your shoe off to swipe it in front of the thing, will you? Maybe just stand on a mat. I don't know. Gerben explained that the application was made on a 1B basis, which means Nike has submitted a sworn statement indicating they intend to use the trademark in the near future. The filing means that the public or Nike's business rivals have 30 days to mount an objection. Nike has been pushing its mobile app and social media strategy aggressively, and according to the brand's website, its digital commerce business is now worth $2 billion. I think that might be John. Let me take a check. There he is. Hey, John, welcome to the show. You there, John? Okay, I'm sure he is. Now, let me get back to your question.
Hello. I'll be right with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. Mike, I'm looking at your question here. Can someone assess the ES and the last two 30-minute candles? Last red candle closing looks like in the BBC, WTZ area. Yes, exactly. You're talking about this? Well, I'll go to the 30-minute since you asked about the 30-minute. Price pulled up to the BBC, the weekly trading zone, spiked it a bit. That happens. Get this trend line. And so now we had a 12-point move down, a 12-point move back up, and now we're looking to see if, in fact, the market is going to hand us another leg to the downside. What do you think, John?
Well, thanks for asking. Just yesterday, if you remember, I said it might come down and test that weekly trading zone. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yep, did.
Which it did. And I actually think it's going to break up above, especially going into the end of the week and the end of the month. And by the way, if you remember, I was pretty bullish on Facebook, saying it was going to surprise on the upside.
Well, they took a $3 billion write-off.
Well, the stock's up $10 or $12, I think.
I know. Yeah.
It's it's definitely. Look, we might get a bit more of a pullback here. The Twitter, which was up big time a couple of days ago, has actually pulled back a bit. I would be looking to probably buy into Twitter here, if you're not already long on this dip, because I think there's another push to the upside coming. Although it's a little bit of a sloppy day, in terms of we're basically off quite a bit on the Dow, and the S&P is actually very strong today. So I think the airlines, the transportation, and the banks in particular are very strong today too. So incidentally, the bonds are kind of threatening to go down a bit. Another surprise this morning. The other thing is Microsoft is actually acting incredibly well. Just hit 131 this morning, so it's getting close to a trillion dollar status. It's as we've been saying for a while, Microsoft it's probably going to go higher. This stock is looking incredibly. Yeah, we're 993 market cap right now, 993 billion. So
here's a daily on Microsoft. Look at that gap. Wow.
Say again, sorry?
I'm looking at the daily chart of Microsoft here. I'm looking at the gap that we had on the open today.
Yeah, it's a big gap, and
about $5 it looks like $5-6.
Yeah, look, if this thing starts going north, I mean, it's probably headed to 150 now. This stock, and that means it's going to be. It's actually going to be one of the largest companies in the world. It's going to overtake Amazon and Google and all these other guys. So it's kind of like Oracle. Some of the old guard are all coming to. I mean, Intel is another one. Intel's been acting phenomenal, it's finally sort of playing catch up. It's just a second. Yeah, we're not we're probably going to go to a new all-time high on Intel before this thing is over.
INTC?
certainly going to get up to INTC up to about 75. Whether it can get above that remains to be seen, but it's certainly been acting really, really well for all of this year. It's been acting great, they probably got a new generation of chips coming out soon. Even faster than the ones that are out right now. But obviously, people are buying. The whole tech sector is just amazing right now. I mean, we've doubled on the triples. We've doubled the tech. It had gone from the 90s to 200 in just a matter of months. And you remember we called that when it was 90, right on this show, that huge update. When you see days like that, you just got to go. You got to go for them. And these big gap days, they tend to. I never remember it was Xilinx that kicked it off. It was also in the 90s at the time. Those stocks both made new all-time highs in the last couple of days. XLNX and Keys. And I think AMD is doing pretty well as well. And AMD, even though it got knocked down pretty hard, it's almost back to its previous high here. So, but it is. I'd say right now the market is a little bit. It's more fractured today. We got the UPS came in. They're down for some reason, and it's pulling back FedEx from a very good run recently. Boeing is actually picking up today for the first time. I think Boeing is probably a buy here. I think the worst is over for Boeing right now, but we'll see. Tesla, incidentally, is really getting going the other way. And Tesla's not been acting well at all. It's making new lows today. New lows for the year, actually.
Who's that?
And TSLA, Tesla.
Okay, they. What was the big hullabaloo with them?
Well, there was a car that was parked in Shanghai, just like it was being monitored, and it just exploded. And the stock's been taking a bit of a hit since that happened. That was about 4 or 5 days ago.
And then they had earnings, yesterday or this morning?
Say again?
Didn't they have earnings today?
They might have. Yeah, I think. Look, they're really in a lot of trouble because they're just not selling as many cars as they had a big rush of cars, and now it's kind of tapered off. And I think it's really remember that this is a car that it's not like all these other cars out there. It's a kind of a niche market for a lot of people, and it's a tough assignment. They've got debt issues, payments and things like that. They've got to make big ones, multi-billion-dollar kind of payments and things. I mean, they're probably going to get through it, but definitely the stock is it's making new lows. It's making new lows, new 6 month lows. It's actually making almost new yearly lows, new 52-week lows. Is only a fraction away from that happening right now, which is completely at odds with the rest of the market, which is not a good place to be for Tesla. Now, it has a habit of coming back from these extreme lows. It's the last time we were down here, the stock went from 250 up to 385, which was a pretty 380 rather, which is a pretty phenomenal run. Could do it again, You just have to play it day by day. The other surprise today, lumber was limit up following our comments yesterday. So but the head scratcher is the copper. I really thought that was going to break $3 rather, and for some reason the copper's come right back quite sharply, actually, quite I would call it ominously, but not very. How do you say, inspirational in terms of one would expect if the economy was doing as good as it seems to be, that copper would be doing a lot better, especially with China doing better too. On the other hand, the gold popped up this morning, and silver as well. They pulled back a bit since. I don't think this downtrend is quite over yet. Unless we go up in the next few days, if this sort of upward effort continues, the platinum's looking better also, I might add. But if we do continue here, it would actually be very positive. If we get back over 15 on silver, I think that would be very positive. If we get back over 1285, that'd be a big deal for gold too. So, but it's right now. I'd be, I wouldn't be necessarily. You just have to wait to see whether we're going to try make another run for the upside or not. But there are a number of people that think that gold might break out here in the next few days, with the Fed meeting coming up, etc. So we will, that's really what we've got to watch for, is how the gold reacts to what the Fed has to say when they come up.
Now, what did you say the Fed was on? We talked about that yesterday.
I think it's Wednesday. Looks like Wednesday next week.
Let's see what gold looks like. So Capitol Hill, all the subpoenas, all the noise about everything. They can't indict a sitting president. So what's the point? Why waste more of this country's resources?
They're going to try this impeachment thing, but I think this is a distraction. Because
Bill Clinton was never more famous than when he got impeached.
Yeah,
that's what made him great.
It's going to backfire on him big time. The cooler heads may prevent it, but there's a lot of people gunning for it, and it's a big talking point right now. But I think when people get in the voting booth in 2020, and I think the biggest thing going for Trump right now is he gets a AAA+ for effort. He's out there all the time, and I think that's resonating with people. You got the walkaway movement going on, you got the Brexit movement going on, where people are leaving the Democratic Party in droves, and there's only the diehards that are supporting this group of candidates right now, and their whole thing is upside down. They're in dire straits, because if the polls are true and the Latin vote is 50% and the black vote is approaching 50%, it'll be an absolute landslide in 2020 for Trump, and more people. As long as this economy keeps chugging along, this isn't just winning on a strong economy. This is the best economy there's ever been, the tightest economy, the most fully employed economy. There's never been anything like it. And at the end of the day, people who got jobs in this recent cycle, this presidential cycle, by the time, God willing, if we get to 2020 and Trump's created almost 10 million jobs, and the economy is even tighter than where it is today, and maybe that last 5 million, allegedly there's 5 or 7 or 8, 10 million people unemployed. Most of those people end up getting a job of some sort. It's going to be unbelievably positive for him. So, and it's just like there's a couple of videos floating around, the Trump, this obsession with Trump. It's the old story. The more publicity, there's nothing like publicity, and he gets more of it than anybody in history.
He makes sure of it. He hits the Twitter first thing in the morning.
Right, and
he makes himself the talking point of the day.
Exactly, and he's been doing that since he came down the escalator.
Yep,
it never stopped, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and he gets a lot of respect. I'm, even though Putin and the Chinese president and these other people might have sort of at times kind of raised their eyebrows and things, they got to admire the guy for what he's pulled off. It's nothing short of astonishing, and I think his respect among world leaders is incredible. He's met almost all of them, and he gets on really well with almost everybody. So, and I think this state visit coming up in the UK will be very good for him. Be nice if Boris Johnson was a prime minister before that happens. He'd get a better welcome, I think, a warmer welcome, and it would be great. But what I actually think is going to happen is a much bigger deal. I really think that the suppression of the whole witch hunt and how it originated, and the hoax, the Russian hoax, and the 4-year, all this surveillance that's been going on, is a story waiting to explode. And these fellas like Comey and McCabe and all these guys can go prancing around on TV and don't think there's anything wrong with the world, and then all of a sudden they get indicted. There'll be a different tune. The media might actually turn dog on these guys, and that may become the big story. It may become the Watergate of this era, where they start uncovering all the skullduggery that's been going on, and it leads all the way right up to the top. And Obama could be the one who gets implicated ultimately. Wouldn't that be ironic? The mastermind behind this whole thing ends up, getting exposed. And the other thing that I think is potentially ready to blow is this whole, the collusion of the intelligence agencies and what they actually did. And they could be uncovered and exposed. There could be whistleblowers. This Joe DeGeneva was saying the biggest hero in this story is Admiral Mike Rogers, who figured out the Pfizer thing early on, and he did a lot of he basically laid the groundwork for all the investigations. So they know. I think people know a lot more than is actually out there in the media right now, regarding just how serious this whole Pfizer thing has been, and what the implications are, and really spying on the campaign. At the end of the day, it makes the Watergate break-in look like a kindergarten party. This is something to the power of 100 or 1,000 times worse. If you're spying on everybody in a campaign and eavesdropping on what they've been saying, I mean, that's just gigantic. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And I think when the whole implications of that come out, the story, and maybe it turns out that thousands of people or even tens of thousands of people were surveilled, and that they were eavesdropping on everybody in the campaign. I mean, that's unforgivable. That's treason. Don't you think?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, I saw Hillary on TV making a speech somewhere last night, and it kind of took me by surprise. She looked good.
Yeah,
like she's been taking care of herself, and I got thinking.
Well, she might. You never know. There might be a late entry. It's very tempting for her.
How old is she? Do you know?
She's maybe 70, 69, 70, something like that.
Okay, so in theory, she could see. I think what she doesn't want to do is get beat by Trump again.
Mm-hmm.
I think if she's going to run, she waits till the next cycle, 2024.
No, I think the next cycle is. Well, you never know. After 2024, a lot could change. She's 71. She's
because they're talking about Joe Biden. If he were to get elected, he would be the oldest sitting president that we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
He will be president well into his 80s if he were to get elected, which I don't foresee happening. But
well. That's what I think. I think this the next few weeks could be pretty volatile. It might have a big effect on the markets too, and it could be a positive effect, because if they start, when these guys were working at the FBI and they started getting into trouble, the market crashed. If you remember, that was February of 2018. But this time, with having been fired, and they start getting, the cleanup process might actually be very positive for the market. So that's something to consider as well. And if you look at Microsoft, the way it's going today, it kind of looks like a juggernaut. When you get these stocks start going parabolic here, and Microsoft actually is a kind of a leading indicator for the rest of the market. It's just like the semiconductors. If you look at the semiconductors, it's a similar picture, where they had this big dip and then they've roared to new highs. Post another pullback.
SOXL?
Yeah, SOXL or SOXX. But looking at the railroads like we did a couple of days ago, these are charts that have never been seen in history. There's never been anything like them. They're amazing,
In what way, John? Just
how big this whole bull market is and how powerful it is.
All right, gotcha.
This is way bigger than as I've said before, because of the advanced decline line leading the market higher for so long. It's just never happened before. It's a whole this is a true third wave, and I'm sure almost everybody out there thinks it's some kind of a fifth wave. I'm not so sure. I think it's a third wave, some kind of a major new third wave, because just the broadness of the economy today and the globalization of the economy and the whole way the world is configured. The rate of, we're creating wealth today at a faster rate than ever in history. So why wouldn't we be in a third wave? What's terminal about that? Nothing. They're creating. There's more Chinese billionaires today than anywhere else. So
it's true. Very true.
And there's. It's almost like a precursor to the Roaring '20s. The '20s. If you think innovation is hot right now, I think given a few more years, the innovation is going to be absolutely mind blowing. Think of this thing we've been talking about in the last few days, about this memory recall, this electronic stimulus, and being able to enable people to remember 50 years ago like it was today. That is astonishing. That could become a really, really big thing.
Where's Moore's Law at today? Is it still in operation?
Alzheimer's. Sorry?
Moore's Law, is that still applicable today?
Yeah, well, it is. I think there's probably one or two more generations of Intel chips before it goes nano. You get down to nano sort of size. We're almost there already. But if you remember, I think you and I calculated it out a long time ago that about 2018 or 2019 would be about the limit of the Moore's Law, but it might just go a few more.
It says processing speed will double every 18 months. Is that right?
Yeah. They sort of had a bit of an upside acceleration in the last few years. It's probably slowing right now as to where they are, but it might be ready for a kind of a quantum leap here. They might come out with something new, where all of a sudden it tends to play catch up. They have these periods of stagnation, and then bang, something new comes out, and because it's like, remember the earlier chips were sort of one. These chips now that have multiple threads, like 36 threads, and what's the other thing called? Where they're all kind of joined together. This is almost exponential in its own right. What if they come out with a 64 thread chip or something like that? Or go up in those kinds of quantums. Then that's probably what's coming.
Looks like the Russell's ready to take another run to the downside.
Yeah, I don't know. It broke this morning. See, remember yesterday I said the Dow and the S&P are probably going to start to outperform the Nasdaq here, not necessarily right away, but when we get close to a top, that's probably what's going to happen. So it's hard to know whether we're going to just have a brief pause here and just keep going higher again, or whether we're going to just keep whether later on today we'll just break out again to the upside and go positive on everything. Going into, given that we're Friday, we're going to Friday, Monday, and Tuesday are key days because they are what's the word? The descendant month syndrome, and look, this is one of the strongest Aprils in a long time, and there is this tendency to morph into May in a very strong way, and I think that's probably going to happen.
Well, this top that we're in right now, it's S&P top, we are long overdue for some kind of a pullback of some magnitude. And it's going to come, and it looked like the door was opening today, and it may still be, because on the S&P, we're not ready to go. 2942 is our number on the upside.
Yeah. Well, you see how it's trying. I mean, that's a big dip. That's what I call a booster buy. When you get a big spike down like that in a recovery, I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to head for 29.45. That's the other thing that's coming is, breaking out above 3,000.
We talked about that yesterday. That's an
hitting a new all-time high in the Dow as well.
Mm-hmm. Our highest weekly zone's up at 2960/61.
Yeah.
Which was looking very doable earlier in the week. Now, well, we'll see. We'll see what comes out of this. Mm-hmm. I was really surprised the other day when the S&P cash put in new all-time historic highs, that when futures kicked in for the Asian session and the London session, that they could have just picked the ball up and continue to run with it. I mean, there's something, I think as you said yesterday, there's something not quite right here. The market kept trying to pop its head up. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It just keeps popping its head up. Because to everyone in the audience, just remember this index, this thing we're talking about, the S&P 500, Emini Futures. Yes, it's 500 individual companies, but it was created and built and is programmed to do one thing, and that's go higher over time. We'll always have pullbacks along the way, but over time, it always goes higher because the weak get kicked to the curb and strong new bulls get brought in. So over time, this is what it's going to do.
Dwayne, we're probably, got an interesting development here. we're possibly positioning right here today for a potential significant bottom in the grains. And this is, why would I say that? Because the soy meal did not make a lower low. It's actually made a series of almost double bottom kind of lows. It's breaking out to the upside today quite markedly. The corn has also made a reversal today. The beans did make a lower low, but they're reversing as well.
Well, look at this, John. This is a daily.
The wheat did not make a lower low either, and that's really bullish when that happens. So this is a kind of a perfect setup for a major bottom in the grains right here, right now. And you've got a double bottom there on the beans too.
All right.
So, look, if you're a risk reward type of guy, I would. I would probably buy into this, take a shot at it. It's not much risk. I obviously get out if it goes lower. But you gotta, when you see these bottoms coming up, it's not necessarily the first time. Look, this thing could rally a bit, could make one more test, and then it's probably in. But sometimes these grains have a habit of turning, and when they turn, they suddenly turn, and then you can't catch them. So that's the reason why I just watch them carefully. I think you're probably not going to go too badly wrong if you buy a strong close today with the proviso that, you'd want to monitor overnight and maybe tomorrow, but also going in, by May, usually by May, the grains tend to turn and start rallying into the summer. So, and we're getting to that point. And then you've got this China thing, in spite of all the promises, if this China deal comes together, it's definitely going to have a grain component to it. And that may be the big upside surprise. So, I don't particularly like buying, after a big hit like this that we've had on the grains, because it's usually there's a little bit more to it, but it is a double daily reversal potentially today. And so if we continue higher tomorrow, next thing you know, you could have a big up day and you're back to 8.8, and all of a sudden thing looks like much more like a bottom. But when you look at the meal, it looks better, and the wheat as well. The wheat looks very good here. The wheat looks like it's done its kind of test. The soy meal is particularly strong, and that's a very good sign. When the meal leads the grains, that's a good thing.
Here's wheat right here.
See what I mean about that? Listen, you could just go north, and
yeah, it could.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
could catch a.
if you're going to try this, if you're going to try this, I think you got to buy strength, and just if it starts to go against you, I think you have to just step aside and wait for a better entry. But it's one that could turn into something good. So just it's not a screaming buy, but it's a possible developing buy here.
Hey, did you have any trouble logging in today?
No, it was pretty quick.
We did this morning in the training room. We had an issue, and Dr. Tom's having a little bit of an issue right now getting logged in.
Okay.
All right, you need to get that?
Yeah, listen, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks very much.
All right, John.
Bye.
Have a great day. All right, guys, Dr. Tom trying to get in here right now. I just texted him the code. Apparently, GoToWebinar. This doesn't affect anyone on YouTube, but GoToWebinar having some kind of issues today. We experienced it in the training room this morning, and, well, here it is again. All right, Dr. Tom, whenever you get logged in, if you can hear me, type something in, and I'll open your mic. We never did look at the numbers around the world. Let's do that real quick like. President Joe Biden officially launches. So he postponed it for a day, but he went through with it.
That's a bit of a problem.
Okay. Cash markets from around the world, starting here in the U.S. The Dow currently down 110 points. NASDAQ up 21. S&P 500 up 1.5, and the Russell 2000 down 9. No movers, no shakers. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 15 cents, trading 65.74 last. There it is. Okay. Gold, which we were just looking at a moment ago. And look at this ascending price channel that we have on gold. Dr. Tom, you said you wanted the webinar ID, when in fact what you wanted is the telephone number. Okay. I'll get that for you. Stand by. Yeah, Dr. Tom, I know it's under audio, but if I switch to phone call, if I click the tab to bring up the phone number, it's going to cut off my computer audio. So I don't know if you're listening in or not.
Do you want me to send the dial number and access code to him?
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thanks, Phil.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to where we were. All right. Gold. Leg and a retracement, and a leg and a retracement, and a leg and a retracement. If you get above this little trend line here inside of this channel, then remember, once you get back to the middle of a price channel, they say 50% chance go either way. I've not vetted that, just passing it along. Okay, in the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei was up 107 points, Shanghai was down 77, and the Hang Seng was down 256. It's the closest thing we got to a mover and a shaker so far. The Hang Seng down almost 1%. That you, Dr. Tom?
That's me.
All right, welcome to the show. And the FTSE, for the European session, at the close, the FTSE was down 37, the DAX was down 30, the CAC was down 18, so that was a mixed day for Asia, a red day for Europe, and it is a mixed day here in the US of A. And it's Dr. Tom Day, ladies and gentlemen. As I have up the gold chart, what more appropriate time for Dr. Tom to pop in and talk with us about a little something we like to call investment grade gold. And you can also go to CFRNgold.com. That's one word, CFRNgold.com, and get a starter pack, which will tell you all about the virtues of investment grade gold. So how's your week shaping up, Dr. Tom? It's almost over, right?
Yeah.
Downhill slide into the weekend.
Yep. We had a great Easter weekend, and this weekend is going to be a little quieter, so I'm looking forward to that.
Do you recycle your Easter bonnets?
My bonnet?
You remember the old song, Easter bonnet, with all the frills upon it? At our church, there were no... remember when back in the day, as they say, everybody really dressed up for Easter. I think there was like in the South, there was some kind of law. I don't know if it was a city or county, but like you had to go to the store with your parents, and you had to get ill-fitted with some new suit and stiff shoes that hurt your feet. It was a horrible time. But we loved it, because of the eggs and Jesus. Remember that? I mean, it was like I think we may have talked about this before. When people used to go to the airport, that was a big thing. Man, you were the best you had if you were going to the airport. And kind of the same for Easter Sunday. It's become more of a casual thing. Well, everything's casual in Arizona. I mean, past April, it's all about short pants and flip-flops. That's about all you see.
Yeah, in Florida it's pretty much the same, except in Florida, even if you're wearing shoes, you don't wear socks.
Yeah, I started that, and then Don Johnson copied me. Yeah.
But, Easter, I wore a suit, and I have this one tie that I always wear at Easter. And I think I was the only person in the church with a tie on, but that's okay.
How about the preacher? Did the preacher have one on?
No.
He probably had on a T-shirt. He had on some ripped jeans and a T-shirt with the name of some contemporary Christian alt band.
No, he's sort of in between. He'll wear jeans, but nice ones.
Oh, okay.
And he'll wear a jacket, sometimes with, just a sport jacket, sometimes just long sleeves. But he hasn't got down to the ripped pants stage, or wearing shorts or flip-flops. But it's funny, by the way, I went to a cryptocurrency conference in Las Vegas, and Charlie Schwinn, who's really, really well known in the crypto world, he was there on stage wearing flip-flops. And I just thought that was so disrespectful to the audience. But
it's the new cool nerdy thing, I suppose. You know, you got to act like you don't care. The more money you make, the more you got to act like you don't care.
Yeah. Well, listen, since I wasn't able to get on visually, I'm only on just by phone. I can't show you the slides I had in mind, but you know what I was thinking as I was desperately trying to get on? You're always asking me questions when we're just on the phone together about investor-grade gold, and because you're a learner. And so I thought maybe we could just do like a little interview. Anything that you've ever wanted to know about IGG, but we're afraid to ask. And also, if anyone in the audience has any questions, they can type them in and you can read them to me.
Well,
I'll just sit here and try to be smart.
Let's define investment grade gold. How is that different from gold bullion? How is it different from gold jewelry?
Well, there's three different types of gold, you know, when we're considering the monetary aspects. You mentioned one, jewelry. Another's bullion. The other's investment grade gold. Jewelry, that's simple. You just have to be careful with jewelry. Jewelry is not a good way to invest in gold. For one reason, a lot of it's only 10 karat gold. So if you look somewhere like inside a ring or on the back of a locket or whatever, you'll see a number that's been punched into it. And if it's 10, it's 10 karat gold, which means it's 10 out of 24.
How common is it for a piece of gold jewelry to sell for more than you paid for it?
To actually make a profit on the sale of it?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very unusual.
That's what I
Because, first thing, I used to work as a kid in the jewelry business, and all jewelry is priced at what they call keystone. So whatever you paid for it, you charge double for it. In some areas where you have to do a lot of credit, like in one store that I worked in for a while, almost everybody that bought everything was on credit. We did triple keystone. So if a ring cost $100, it sold for $300, and that made it for the losses you had when people didn't pay.
Right.
But jewelry typically will run in the United States 10, 14, 18, or 22 karat. In other countries, they have different amounts. So most jewelry people buy, you know, like an ordinary birthstone ring or something like that. That's going to be 10 karat. And nicer things like wedding rings and so on are 14. And then you get some 18 karat. Very, very rarely 22 because it's too soft. 24 karat gold, you can just bend it with your hands. But because they charge so much for it initially, and because you can't ever really be sure of the percentage of gold that's in it, there's been a lot of 10 karat gold that somebody's overstamped it as 18. And unless you've got a way to know it,
Right.
you know, there's no way to do it. Right, then bullion, I always get this question. What's the difference between bullion and coins? And I say, well, that's not the right question because 80 to 90% of all the bullion that people are buying today is coins. Okay? People think bars are bullion and all coins are investment grade. No, bars are something that most people can't afford, like a kilo bar, which is fairly small. It's probably about the same volume as a pack of cigarettes. It's thinner, but a little longer and wider. That's 32 ounces gold. Not too many people can afford to buy a kilo bar. And then there's what they call ingots, which are 1 ounce, and typically they're rectangular in shape. But they're no different than the coins. The coin bullion, I can say, is the biggest part of the market. And before South Africa came out with the Crude, gold gold was not very democratic because only rich people could afford to buy it. Once they got it down to 1 ounce sizes, and at that time, gold was only a few $100s an ounce, most anybody could afford to buy it. But here's one thing you want to be careful of. If you're buying bullion gold, you want it to be gold that's issued by a sovereign government, like the Crude from South Africa, the Maple Leaf from Canada, the American Eagle, and now we've come up with a new one, the Buffalo from the United States, and so on. The reason is that anything else is not legally considered a coin. A coin has to have a denomination, and it has to be issued by a sovereign government. So there are lots of mints, like JM and Hearst and Myers and different ones that issue what we call silver rounds. And they're simply a round disc that looks like a coin, but is not. And they do the same thing with silver. So beware of those. You want to have something that's issued by a sovereign government, because the main reason people buy gold is in anticipation of a crash. And you think about it, from your point of view, if I offered you a JM gold round or a Canadian maple leaf, which are both 1 ounce and in a sense are worth the same, which would you accept from me? You had a choice.
Well, I'd rather have the maple leaf.
And the reason?
Because it's prettier.
Well, they are pretty. I have a friend that makes beautiful Christian coins.
Well, I would just not knowing nearly as much as you about this. I would expect that there was some potential numismatic value to that maple leaf that's not there for just the round.
Nope. The word is government.
Government.
Okay.
Backed by the full faith of the Canadian government.
That's right. As much as we tend not to trust the government in a lot of things, one thing that you can trust the government in is that the weight that's stamped on it and the fineness that's stamped on it is legit. And you don't know if a small mint has done it the proper way. And for that matter, China has been counterfeiting both bullion coins and kilo bars. They use tungsten, which is the closest to gold as far as the atomic weight. So you can't just tell by weighing it anymore. And they put a thick layer of gold on it. And sophisticated people have been fooled by this. So that's one of the dangers of bullion. But when it's issued by a sovereign government, I don't trust the government not to spy on me. I don't trust the government to pass laws that are in my best interest. But the mints have always been very accurate, going all the way back thousands of years with the British mint. And so you can trust that, and that's really important. So when I tell people they're buying bullion, if you get the 10-10-10 financial survival plan, I tell people to get some gold and some silver bullion as part of their asset allocation, but only gold and silver that's minted by the U.S. government. In the case of silver, I wouldn't get Canadian silver, even though they're honest. The problem in Canada is they're just like all over the board with silver. Some coins were 40%, some were 55%, some were 70% silver, and so on. We've been very consistent in this country, and from the time we started making silver coinage, it was 90% silver and 10% copper. So it's referred to as junk silver. Not that it's junky, but junk in the sense that it's not 100%. But anybody can calculate that. The only difference has been when, for some reason, when they stopped making silver coins in '65, they continued to make 50-cent pieces for 5 more years till '70. but it was 40% silver. I have yet to find anybody who can give me an explanation for why that is. But all the other coins, 64 or earlier, the dime, the quarter, and the silver dollar are, and the vast majority of 50-cent pieces are 90% silver. But in that little window, 65 to 70, actually 65 to 69, 50-cent pieces were 40%. So if you just make a rule by pre-1965, you know exactly what you're getting, and you just weigh it, multiply it by 9.9, and you've got the number of ounces. Whereas one time, I had somebody wanted to trade in a bunch of Canadian junk silver, and I just assumed they did the same thing as we do. And boy, did I get a rude surprise, because a lot of the silver was like 35 or 40%, and it jumped around from year to year. It's very weird. Our gold coins in this country have always been 90%. Anything that the government produced, 90% gold and 10% either copper or occasionally copper and silver. But since we went off the gold standard, for about 50 years we didn't make any gold coins. And when we started back up again, we followed the lead of all the other countries, and we produced 0.9995, and just like it sounds, 99.9% gold. And occasionally, some countries like Canada will issue 4 nines. So it's a little tiny bit finer.
Right.
You know, and some people will pay a little bit more for that. But that's the way you decide if you're going to accept gold and silver after the crash.
Let's say a person decides that they do want to buy some investment grade gold, and they are going to purchase it as an investment. Hey, there's a couple of reasons. A hedge against the end days, having something that you can spend when the economy collapses, whenever that happens. Or, on a cheerier note, they want to buy it just simply to create some wealth. They want to see positive appreciation. What sort of an investment window does someone need to actually make a profit by investing in investment grade gold?
We typically tell people if you're just buying for the short term, like your kid's going to college next year, and you want to make some money between now and then, don't buy investment grade gold because it goes up. You know, we're talking really, really rough numbers. Rare coins that are not extremely rare can fairly reliably go up about 10% a year, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to count on that if you're talking about your kid's college tuition.
Right.
So figure 5 to 6 years, you can make some pretty serious money. But let's define investment grade gold first.
Okay.
Investment grade gold is a collectible. So let's go back to the Great Depression. The only asset class that went up during the Great Depression was collectibles. And we're not just talking about collectible gold. We're talking about collectible paintings, antiques, shotguns, you name it. Whatever people collect that is in limited supply, like a limited edition print even.
Mm-hmm.
Not even an original painting, like a Thomas Kincaid print that's copied well from one of his actual handmade paintings. He usually limited to 200 or 300. I think he's passed away now. But most of his prints were limited to 200, 300, 400. Well, that makes it more valuable. Even more valuable.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
I was going to say even more valuable would be individual paintings, which are one of a kind. So even artists that aren't really, really famous, like Monet or Renoir or Picasso, just well known but not super famous, their individual paintings can be worth sometimes millions of dollars. And the same thing with antique furniture. So what were you going to ask?
Oh, I was just going to mention that Thomas Kincaid was the original spokesman for Motel 6.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
We'll leave the light on for you.
Yep.
Tom Bodette's famous tagline, we'll leave the light on for you. That's what Thomas Kincaid did in every painting. He left the light on.
Yep. Somewhere in the painting, there was always a lantern or a light or something.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really, really beautiful.
They are.
I was up in Savannah for a Christmas trip. We just decided to take the train, which is a little unusual. But it's a long drive up there, and we were tired of airplanes. So we thought, let's take the Amtrak. And it was a blast.
Was it?
And then we just walked all the way everywhere we went in Savannah. But they had a Thomas Kincaid store there. And it was all Thomas Kincaid, everything. Beautiful.
If a person is investing in investment-grade gold, would they be better served to have 100 $50 coins or one $500 coin?
Okay. Let's bump those numbers up a little bit because you're not going to find rare coins for $50. I mean, you can find some rare pennies. And Greg did a webinar the other night where he was showing some pennies that were selling for as high as $4,700, which sounds insane, because it's a little tiny scrap of copper. But they do go up. But if you want to get gold investment-grade coins, you're probably starting at around $2,500. So let's rephrase your question.
Okay.
Are you better off with 10 $2,500 investment-grade coins or one $25,000 one?
Okay.
And you're always better with the latter, the one coin, because the principle is you buy the best you can afford. If all you've got is $2,500, then that's the best coin for you, because that's what you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got $50,000, you're better off with a $50,000 coin than two 25s or even five $10,000 coins. The reason is the higher the grade, the higher the rarity, and the higher both of those things are, the more people want them. People want things that other people don't have. There's an area in Dallas, can't think of the name of it, Sugar something, I think it is. Anyway, it's
Sugar Hill,
Texas. Maybe it's in the Dallas area, and I've been there at a friend's house, a gated community, and all the homes there are, like stupid big, 12 bedrooms.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yep. Mosquitoes are as big as robins in Texas. But in this one area in particular, there's 18 homes surrounding a golf course. And all of them are McMansions. All of them back up on the golf course. You can just walk out there with your clubs. All the women have all kinds of fancy gold jewelry and diamond and sapphire jewelry. All the men have Rolexes with diamond bezels. And in every driveway, there's something crazy, like a Rolls Royce, a Maserati, a Ferrari, and so on. So they're all really, really rich, but they've all got the same ways of showing it off. So wealthy people, and almost every wealthy person I know owns some collectible coins. They like to have something that nobody else has and be able to brag about it. So, I've got if I was a rich guy, I've got a Queen Victoria 50th Jubilee coin, and there's only 12 known in existence of this particular one, and I own it. Well, that's a big deal. So rarity is very important because you can't make any more rare coins. Now, the same is true of antiques, paintings, people can make counterfeits, they can make copies, but there's always experts that can tell them, and the experts at grading coins are better than any other collectible at determining whether something's counterfeit, because there's scientific ways they can do that. Whereas for the paintings and the antiques, it's more just your expertise. And you can be wrong, or maybe somebody can bribe you to give a high valuation on a Louis XV disc, for instance. But my reasons for preferring, I like all kinds of collectibles, and all of them make money. But my reason for preferring the gold coin collectibles is dual. Number one, if I'm sure a lot of people listening today own options or have traded options in the past, so you know that you have your in the money value of the option and your out of the money value of the option. And the in the money is called the intrinsic value, the out of money is extrinsic. Well, gold has both the intrinsic and extrinsic value. So people prefer it for collectibles because they like gold, right? But then the smart ones don't just buy gold bullion, which only has intrinsic value. They buy the rare coins because they have intrinsic and extrinsic value. So when bullion goes up, rare coins go up, but they go up more. When bullion is flat, the rare coins are usually going up, but not as much, because remember, the bullion is part of the value. But the interesting thing is when bullion goes down, the rare coins either stay flat, sometimes they go up a little bit, it depends on how fast and how much gold bullion goes down, and some of the less rare coins might even drop a little bit, but not nearly as much as the gold. But the mega rare coins in the last 100 years haven't had one down year. Bullion has been down 10 of the last 100 years because it only has intrinsic value. So let's take that to other things like the Mona Lisa hanging in the Louvre in Paris. It essentially has $4 worth of intrinsic value if you count the wood frame and the canvas. All of its value, 25, 30 million, whatever it is extrinsic. Same thing with the Louis XV desk I mentioned. It might have $20 or $30 worth of wood and hardware in it, but its real value is the artistry that went into it, the hand carving, the rarity. Okay, so I prefer to have investors that have intrinsic value and extrinsic value, because you're hedging your bets. You're making money two different ways.
Well, you're exposing yourself to two possible avenues of increased valuation.
Yeah, multiple streams of income.
There you go.
The other big reason is in case of a crash, I want to either A, be able to hide my net worth very well, to where if bad guys come around trying to take it away, or if the government comes and tries to take it away, because they've already done it once. The government already stole 40% of the wealth of the nation in 1933, and who's to say they couldn't do it again? Or, alternatively, if I don't just want to hide it, and by the way, you can hide gold easily. I mean, think about something like your attic. Your attic has like hundreds and hundreds of square feet of insulation. How hard would it be to hide coins in different little sections of that? Who's going to go around pulling up all the insulation unless they knew for a fact that's where you hid your coins?
Well, when Bernie sees the jackboots around, they've probably got metal detectors, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but remember, these have a small amount of metal in them, and there's lots of nails and straps.
True.
So on. up in trusses.
Right.
Okay. And even if you do a little midnight gardening, which is where a lot of people hide their coins, if you bury them down 2 or 3 feet, the metal detector's not going to pick it up. Okay.
Now, it's illegal to keep cash in a safe deposit box. What about investment grade coins?
Well, really, not legal. Illegal is not the point. Basically, the government, under the so-called Patriot Act, gave itself the permission to enter anybody's safe deposit box anytime they want to. And the customer does not have to be notified. And matter of fact, if the bank manager notifies the customer, he's guilty of a violation of the Patriot Act. Okay? And they're allowed to confiscate any contraband. Well, you and I, being normal people, we would think of contraband as being drugs, for instance, right?
Right.
But government employees don't tend to be normal, okay? And so the contraband that they can confiscate, now they don't say they're stealing it or taking it forever, but they can confiscate it and hold it for evidence, and believe me, they'll hold it forever as evidence. It includes precious metals, cash, and guns. So take my advice, folks. Don't put those in your safe deposit box because it's not safe. Matter of fact, I don't know if you noticed when they came up with the new $100 bills, I did a whole video on this. 7 different so-called biometric features to the money. With what purpose? Well, supposedly to keep it from being counterfeited. And it would do that. But the biometric features also allows them to track that money wherever it goes. Okay? So if I'm getting $100 bills, I always try to get the old ones, but they're getting harder and harder to get. One of the things you have in it is a metal strip.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you have any significant amount of $100 bills in your safe deposit box, they can run a scanner past it. They go beep, 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 like a Geiger counter, and find your packets of $100 bills. So the safest place is to have a safe in your house that's well hidden. The size and the difficulty of breaking in are not the key features. The key feature is how well hidden it is. I usually recommend people to get a handgun safe, and they're all made big enough to hold a .45, which has a pretty good sized frame, and a box of ammo. Well, not too many people are going to have more coins than that. They would fit in that space.
Right.
And it fits between 2 studs. You can bolt it onto it, and you put it in a place like a closet, like your junk closet, not your master bedroom closet. That's the first place bad guys look. Put it in your spare room where you got the closet full of stuff that you just can't bear to throw away, and you stack up a bunch of boxes of old clothes and shoes or whatever in front of it, and they'll never find it. Okay. But back to the magnetic part of things. I have carried $1 million worth of rare coins on my person through the metal detectors of 2 of the most security conscious airports in the world, which are New York City and London Heathrow.
And they didn't set off the detector?
Never had a wiggle. Never had a wiggle. But what I did is I put them in various different places. Back before they made you take everything out of your pockets, if I was carrying 4 coins, I'd have 1 in each of my 4 pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if I carry them in my backpack, I'll distribute them around in different pockets. The thing is, if you have several coins all together on top of each other, it creates more of a metal mass.
Right.
So in this particular case, I got one of those passport holders that you put around your neck under your shirt so somebody can't snatch your passport.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the width of 2 coins. And I had two very valuable coins. I put them side by side, and just before I went to the magnetometer, I just kind of patted my chest there to flatten them out and make sure they hadn't ridden over top of one another. And like I say, not a blip.
Made it through.
Never showed. So that's the second reason, if there's a crash, I want to be able to hide my net worth well. But the other reason is if it gets dangerous to be where I am, which is basically going to be any major city, it's going to be dangerous for two reasons. Number one, typical major city only has food for 3 days in the stores. They use what they call the just-in-time inventory system, and it keeps them having to maintain warehouses in various cities. So if we just had something as simple as an EMP attack that didn't destroy the country, but took down the internet and our electronics, they would have no way of knowing when to get the food or where to send it. Okay, but the other more serious reason is in big cities, that's where you have most of the crooks. Okay, and a huge number of them don't have transportation. They don't have cars, so they can't go out in the countryside and rob people as easy. So you've got a bunch of bad guys with guns roaming around. I don't want to be there, right? I want to go out in the country, particularly in the hills if I can, and I'd like to be able to put my net worth in my pockets. I can't do that with paintings or antiques, okay? But I can, in a very small area, take my net worth if I have it in investment-grade coins. If I've got a huge amount of bullion, that's going to be hard to move. True story here. I'm up in Atlanta speaking on these things, and one older gentleman there wanted me to come over to his house afterwards because he wanted to show me something. I said, okay. So we went down into his basement, and he had built a 6 foot by 6 foot closet, and he used 4x4s as his corner posts and 2x6 as intermediate, and 2 layers of 3/4 inch plywood, and he'd strapped it. Okay, I mean, this was like a little 6 foot by 6 foot walk-in safe, and he opened the door, and he had bags of silver stacked up knee high.
Wow.
And he was just so proud of himself. And I said, well, I hate to burst your bubble, but first of all, if you did decide that you need to get out of here, how would you get this upstairs? Because each of those bags weighed about 50 pounds, and he couldn't pick up one of them. He said, well, I guess I have to get the kid down the street to help me carry it upstairs. I said, yeah, and hope he doesn't knock you over the head or shoot you.
Exactly right, yeah.
But let's say you could get it upstairs, and you put it in the trunk of your car. I said, you still got a big problem. He said, what's that? I said, your front wheels are going to lift up off the ground. If this doesn't, the weight of it doesn't just break through the bottom of your trunk. So it's very difficult to have large amounts of bullion, whether silver or gold. Now, silver weighs roughly 70 times as much gold per dollar. So what I recommend is the 10-10-10, so people have a small amount of silver, about 10 times that much dollar-wise in gold, and then the rest in investment-grade coins. Because as you mentioned earlier, bullion is not an investment. Bullion goes up as the dollar goes down, and so therefore it's an insurance policy, but it's not an investment. I want my money to be in something that's going to go up in value, which means purchasing power. That's the only way to determine value is in what can I buy with it. So I've talked about before 100 years ago where you could buy a house for $4,000 worth of gold, okay, which is about 200 ounces. And today, 100 years later, that house is worth still 200 ounces of gold. But instead of gold being $20 an ounce, now gold is 13. So both the real estate and the gold protect the value of your money, but they didn't do anything for your purchasing power, because 200 ounces of gold bought a 3.2 back then, and 100 years later, 200 ounces of gold buys a 3.2. But if you put it in investor-grade gold, it's worth almost $2 million today, or 8 times as much as a million. So that's the real difference between, say, an American Eagle coin minted by the U.S. government and maybe a 5-pound coin minted 100 years ago by the British government. We made like 1 million coins or more, sometimes several million every year. Some of the British coins, there's only 25 or 100 in existence in the entire world. So the same amount of gold is much more rare and worth a heck of a lot more. So that's why you make 7 to 8 times as much return off of investment-grade gold than you do bullion.
Interesting. Again, folks, go to CFRNgold.com and get a starter pack. Tell them what they're going to get, Dr. Tom.
Well, you'll get 2 articles. I could describe them both as great articles. Except I wrote one of them, so I can't call it great because then I'd be bragging. And I'm actually very humble. I am. I used to pastor a church in North Carolina, and my church gave me a plaque for humility, but then they took it away because I hung it on the wall.
That's a good one.
But anyway, I wrote the 10 Financial Survival Plan. The other one, the Golden Art article, is written by our buyer, who has, I'm trying to say, it's around 45 years of experience in investment-grade gold. I did do a lot of editing on it, but for those of you that like comic books, like reading books that
graphic
much.
novels.
Yeah, that's right, the graphic novel style, excuse me. My daughter keeps correcting me on that. This has lots and lots of pictures. It's not so much text. It's 12 pages long, but it's only got about as much text as the 4-page article. So the Golden Art article thoroughly explains, with great, beautiful pictures of coin examples, the concept of investment-grade gold, how it developed, how grading developed, and so on. And then the 10-10-10 approaches more from a financial point of view, how you can best allocate your dollars. Like say you got a net worth of X, what percentage of that should be in precious metals, and then how do you divide the precious metals up between the silver bullion, the gold bullion, and the investment-grade coins. So you get that. Then you get 2 short videos, very short. I don't know how many people on this call know Lance Waldau, but he's a fantastic speaker, and I've spoken at a number of his events, and these were actually taped at those events. But they're just real short explanations, sort of, more forest than trees. And then there's one video that everybody has to watch. It's about 45 minutes long, but it really goes into in-depth of the concept. And then there's additional material down there. There's the Gold 101, 201, 301, and 401, and so on, if people want to dig in a little bit deeper. And of course, I'm always available to answer questions. In the email you get my direct line, and whether you can afford to buy gold right now or not. What if you just want to research and find out about it for when your ship does come in? I'm happy to talk to you. I don't just talk to people with money. The Lord has called me to be a watchman on the wall, to warn people of what's coming. And we didn't talk about this today, but I think most of us know that we are going to have at some point, and nobody knows when except the Lord, a true financial crash in this country that's going to make 2008 and the Great Depression look like patty cake. So everyone should have some gold and silver. And even if you're very modest means, give me a call, and I could probably show you how you can do it. You could use IRA money, by the way. If you have a 401k, that can be rolled over into an IRA. So you probably have more options than you think you do.
And the journey starts by going to CFRNgold.com.
That's right. And we will also give you a free subscription to our Monday night webinars. They are really, really good. We have some of the greatest teachers, businessmen, constitutional experts, economists, theologians that know about what the Bible says about money. Really, just people. I'm always fascinated. People sometimes ask me, "You've been hosting these webinars for 12 years. Do you just introduce the people and then go off and work on the email and then come back at the end and do the questions that close the webinar?" I said, "No, absolutely not. I listen to every webinar all the way through. Even though I might know 90% of what's there, I always learn something every time. So I guarantee you, you will learn, you will enjoy, and it will help you to protect your family if you understand about biblical economics and particularly about precious metals. Because precious metals is what God gave us for our money. It's the only biblical money and the only constitutional money."
Amen. All right, that sounds like a lot. It's quite a welcome package. CFRNgold, one word.com. It's up on the screen. CFRNgold.com. Hey, Dr. Tom, did you get an Alexa device yet?
No, I did not. I'm afraid my cat will order a car or something.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Were you able to listen to that file I sent you the other day?
I started to, and then somebody called.
Yeah, they always do that.
I will make sure I do that.
No. I'm going to play it for you. You got a minute?
Sure.
Alexa, launch Emini Daily Report.
Oh.
Welcome back to the S&P 500 E-mini Daily Report. And now, from Studio A, this is Mr. D.
Welcome back. It is Wednesday afternoon, 24th day of April, 2019. Time, 5:45 p.m. Eastern. We are just 15 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. Last night's alert did not trigger. We were looking to be long 29.42 up to 29.48 up to, for the extended move, 29.59. That is our highest weekly trading zone. While it did not trigger last night, it is still valid. However, developments in today's market might tell a story of a market looking for a retracement. Now, a 50% Fibonacci, or 62% Fibonacci retracement from Friday's low to today's or yesterday's high would put us back around 29.06, 29.07, but you don't need to worry about that. I'll worry about that. Let me just give you the numbers, okay? If price trades below 29.25 and holds a pullback, consider being short the ESM9, that's the June S&P 500 E-mini contract. Consider being short 29.24 to 29.17 to 29.10. Again, on the long side, if price can reach 29.42, consider being long to 29.48. With the absence of any exit signals, stay with it to 29.59. If we fail to hold up on the Asian session and the European Open, I was very surprised last night to see the Asian session or the London session unable to pick the ball up and continue running in the same direction as Wall Street. Wall Street very quiet, 10-point range most of the day on the S&P 500 E-mini. One last time, consider long 29.42 to 29.48, extended move 29.59. If we break to the downside, and you'll know because we'll break below 29.25, we'll hold that on a pullback. Consider being short 29.24 to 29.20, down to 29.17 to 29.10. We always stay with it unless the chart tells us to do something different. If you want to learn more about what we do and how we do it, we have an open house coming up. Just go to apply.cfrn.net or send an email to support@cfrn.net. See you at the bell.
That's cool. So that's going to be available on Alexa.
Thanks for tuning in to the S&P E-mini Daily Report. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the numbers that make you the smartest guy on the street. Any street. Looking for specific turn-by-turn directions? Take a free trial at apply.cfrn.net or call 949-42-E-mini. That's 949-42-EMINI. This has been the S&P E-mini Daily Report. Signing off.
Yeah, we went live on Alexa over the Easter weekend, and I update the report every night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Well, it sounds like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Could be. Guess how many Alexa devices are out there?
Millions?
100 million.
Are
That
you
was as
serious?
of January 4th, 2019. More than 100 million Alexa devices have been sold. The new metric revealed by Amazon devices in an interview showcases just how quickly the company has crammed the voice assistant into disparate hardware devices and shoved them out the door. 100 million. 100 million people. If there's one person per household, 100 million people have access to the S&P E-mini Daily Report.
That's almost a third of the country.
Well, this is worldwide. So, here's the thing. Although I drug my feet and I always get sidetracked every time there's something shiny in the room. I lose my focus. But I could have, in my mind, I put this all together overnight. I drug it out over a couple weeks. I talked to you about it when I first started. But a person could, overnight, position themselves to put their message, whatever that message is, in front of 100 million plus people. The only thing is you got to educate them on how to enable the skill. That's what it's called, a skill. You got to let them know how to enable the skill, and then they need the catchphrase, which in this case is launch E-mini Daily Report. You got to get that information to them, and then all of those people behind all of those devices have access to whatever it is you have to say, whether it's about markets or religion or politics or your new widget, whatever it might be. So, and the field.
That's all just that particular phrase, right?
Correct.
Launch E-mini daily report.
That's right. Once you enable the skill, you say that, and it plays. It's a little daunting to look at, but you got technical guys. So anyway, I sent you an email today too. You get a chance to read that. Whenever you want to talk, just give me a call. I got my phone here.
Okay.
Whenever you feel
All right.
good. Thanks, Dr. Tom.
Been a pleasure being with you. God bless everyone.
All right. I'll see you tomorrow. Or I'll talk to you later. How about that? And I'll see you next Thursday.
That's right.
Okay. God bless. Okay, folks, back to this S&P 500 E-mini chart. See where we are now? Okay. Now, on the E-mini daily report, you heard the 29.24 down to 29.17, potentially to 29.10. And all that hinges right here. The good news is, we already had a nice 7-point move. We had a move, we had a 4-point move, back above the trigger, 7-point move. If we come down again, this would be the time that we look to see that 29.10. And if the market has other things in store, then 29.42, right on up to 29.60. 18-point potential move. Or 59, I think they called it. 17. All right, well, there you have it. Good word for the day. Stand by. Sometimes we wonder, where is God? Haven't heard from him lately. Fear not. As a believer, God is always at work in your life. Job 23:10. He knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold. We all know it's a mistake to compare ourselves to other people, right? But we don't act like it. The reason it's a mistake to do that is because God has a plan for each of us, you and I, that's unique and personal. His methods may sometimes seem strange, his training laborious, but his results are always worth waiting for. Without scams and games, he accomplishes his purpose in our lives, and all he asks us to do is trust and obey. It's that simple. In the midst of unspeakable heartache and trouble, here's 3 things Job said about God. Number 1, he said he knows the way that I take. Whatever path you're on today is the one God chose for you. And he never makes mistakes. And even when you don't know where he is, God knows where you are because he never takes his eye off of you. Number 2, Job said, when he has tested me. The word when means God has established a set time for testing you and a set time for bringing you out of the test. Aren't you glad he's the one who's testing you and not other people? Would you trust anyone other than him to take you through this learning curve? Of course you wouldn't. Number 3, Job said, I'll come forth as gold. Job just lost everything that mattered to him. When God gets through refining you and removing the impurities from your life, you'll shine like pure and precious gold. The process always precedes the promise. When the dross has been discarded and the fear removed, some people may wonder how such a vessel could have been made from such poor material. They may even ask if you're the same person. When they do, just say no. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. See you in the workshop tonight. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. That bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.